There's a woman who's worked the front desk at a mid-size accounting firm for 11 years, and every person who's ever guessed her net worth has guessed wrong. Low by a lot. There's also a guy 2 floors up in that same building, a regional sales director, leased German sedan, corner office, the kind of presence that makes people assume he's crushing it financially. He is not. He's 4 months from a serious cash problem if his commission dips even slightly. Nobody in that building could tell you which of them is actually secure, because the signs people look for, the car, the title, the vacation photos, tell you almost nothing. There's a completely different set of signals that actually give someone away. And once you know them, you'll start noticing them everywhere. In your coworkers, your family, maybe even in yourself. I've spent years looking at what separates people who quietly have their financial life handled from people who just look like they do. And today, I'm walking through 6 things that consistently show up in the first group and almost never show up in the second. The first sign shows up in how someone reacts to bad news, not good news. Give a financially secure person a surprise expense, a repair, a bill, a sudden cost, and watch what happens. They don't spiral. They don't Google frantically. They ask one question: is this the outcome I already planned for, or something new? Most people react to financial shocks, like they're reacting to a plot twist in a story, emotionally, personally, like the universe singled them out. Financially secure people react, like they're checking a forecast against a model they already built. That's the real difference. They're not calmer because they're wealthier. They're wealthier in part because they think in probabilities instead of stories. Before anything happens, they've already asked what could realistically go wrong, and roughly how bad it could get. So when it actually happens, there's no shock, just execution. You can build this same habit without any money at all. Before a big decision, write down the 3 most likely bad outcomes and roughly how you'd handle each one. That alone converts most future emergencies from a crisis into a checklist. The second sign is almost invisible, unless you're specifically looking for it: the number of moving parts in someone's financial life. Financially secure people tend to run remarkably simple systems: 1 or 2 bank accounts, a small handful of investments, very few active subscriptions, very few open loans. It's not because they can't afford more accounts or more complexity. It's because every additional account, every extra subscription, every scattered investment is a tiny recurring tax on their attention, and attention is the one resource that determines whether anything actually gets managed well. A financial life with 30 small moving parts doesn't get monitored. It gets ignored, quietly. A few dollars leaking out in forgotten subscriptions, a small fee nobody ever questioned, a scattered account nobody ever rebalanced. Complexity isn't a sign of sophistication. Simplicity is. If you want to test this on yourself right now, count how many recurring charges hit your accounts every month. Most people who do this for the first time find at least one they completely forgot they were paying for. The third sign is how fast someone cuts their losses. Not in a cold, ruthless way, just quickly, without the emotional negotiation most people go through first. Picture 2 coworkers who each sign up for the same expensive certification course. 3 weeks in, both realize it's the wrong fit, wrong content, wrong timing, not useful for where they actually want to go. One of them keeps going anyway because they already paid for it, because quitting would mean admitting the money's gone. The other one stops immediately, treats the money as already spent regardless of what they do next, and redirects their time somewhere useful. That second person isn't more disciplined. They've just internalized something most people never fully accept, which is that money already spent has no vote in what you do next. Financially secure people apply this constantly, to subscriptions, to bad investments, to jobs, sometimes even to relationships. And every time they do it, they free up resources that everyone else leaves trapped in something they've outgrown, purely because walking away feels like losing twice. The fourth sign contradicts almost everything people assume about debt, so stay with me here. Financially secure people are not debt avoidant. Many of them carry more debt than the people who consider themselves cautious. The difference isn't how much debt they hold. It's what the debt is attached to. They'll comfortably borrow against something that's likely to grow in value: a home, an education with a clear return, a business expansion, because the math works in their favor over time. What they almost never do is finance something that loses value the moment they own it. A car, a vacation, furniture, anything that's worth less next year than it is today. That single filter, does this debt attach to something growing or something shrinking, quietly determines whether debt builds your position or slowly drains it. Someone earning $90,000 a year who finances a $40,000 vehicle over 6 years typically pays several $1,000s in interest on an asset that's lost more than half its value by the time it's paid off. That same person, taking on debt for a market rate home in a growing area, is often building equity the entire time they're paying it down. Same behavior, debt, wildly different outcome, depending entirely on what it's attached to. The fifth sign is a habit almost nobody talks about, which is that financially secure people ask why more than once before spending meaningfully. Not why can I afford this, but why do I actually want this? And if they don't like the honest answer, they usually don't buy it. Someone eyeing a bigger apartment might ask why, and the first answer is because I can afford it now. Ask why again, and the real answer might be because a friend just moved somewhere nicer. Ask why a third time, and there's often nothing left, just comparison dressed up as a decision. This isn't about denying yourself things. It's about making sure the thing you're buying is actually solving a problem you have, instead of a feeling you're trying to outrun. People who skip this step end up with a life full of purchases that made sense for about a week, and then just became new fixed costs they're stuck maintaining. The sixth sign, and the one that ties everything together, is that financially secure people set a personal ceiling on certain categories of spending, and that ceiling doesn't move just because their income does. Not a total spending freeze, a specific cap on cars, on dining out, on clothes, whatever category tends to expand fastest for them personally, and they keep it fixed, even as raises and bonuses come in. This is different from generic frugality advice because it's not about spending less overall. It's about picking one or two categories in advance and refusing to let them inflate no matter what, while letting the growing gap between income and that fixed ceiling get redirected somewhere that compounds. Someone earning $70,000 who commits to a $400 monthly car ceiling for life, even as their income doubles over a decade, ends up with the exact same car payment and a massively larger investment account than someone whose car payment quietly scaled up with every raise they ever got. Here's the deeper pattern underneath all six of these signs, and it's the part that should genuinely reframe how you think about this whole topic. None of these behaviors require money to start. Every single one of them is available to you at your current income, today, this week. The probability thinking, the simplified financial structure, the fast exits from sunk costs, the selective use of debt, the repeated why, the fixed ceiling, these are decisions, not privileges. And that's exactly why they compound the way they do. Two people earning the exact same salary for 20 years can end up in completely different financial positions, not because one of them earned more, but because one of them was quietly running these six behaviors the entire time, while the other one was reacting to life as it happened. The uncomfortable flip side of this is that looking financially secure and being financially secure often pull in opposite directions, because most of the visible signals people chase, the car, the apartment, the vacations, actively work against several of these six habits at once. Every visible upgrade adds a moving part, raises a spending ceiling, and often attaches debt to something depreciating all at the same time. You cannot simultaneously optimize for how your finances look to other people and how sound they actually are underneath, because those two goals are quietly pulling resources from the same place. So here's what to actually do with this. Pick one of the six signs, just one, the one that felt the most uncomfortable while you were listening, and implement it this week. If it was the moving parts one, close or consolidate one account or subscription today. If it was the ceiling one, pick a category and write down a number you won't exceed regardless of future raises. Small, specific, immediate, not a vague resolution to be better with money someday. The real insight here is that financial security was never primarily about income. And it was never primarily about restraint either. It's about which decisions you've automated in advance versus which ones you're still making emotionally, in the moment, under pressure. The people who look ordinary and turn out to be quietly secure aren't hiding some secret income stream. They've just outsourced most of their financial decisions to habits and rules they built once, a long time ago. So their current self doesn't have to relitigate the same decision every single time it comes up. If any of these six hit closer to home than you expected, that's the whole point. Because the gap between looking secure and being secure is smaller and more fixable than most people ever realize. And it starts with exactly one decision this week, not someday. So let's be honest for a second. If you pictured the receptionist and the sales director and quietly guessed wrong about who's secure, you're not alone. That's exactly the trick these six signs are built to catch. Here's what I want to know. Which of the six hit closest to home for you? Tell me the number in the comments and which one you're actually going to fix this week. I read every one, and it tells me exactly what to cover next. If you'd rather score yourself properly than just guess, I made a free six-sign self-audit. Links in the description. Download it, check yourself against all six, and pick the one you're starting with. If this changed how you look at the car in the next parking lot, hit like. It tells the algorithm this actually helped someone, not just entertained them. And subscribe, because this channel exists to find the signals that actually matter, not the ones everyone is chasing. See you in the comments.